All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Hilltopper fans of all ages, inside hilltoppersports.com. Zoom chat is back finally. It's been a while, but we gotta tap into Tyler Mansfield, who's on the scene with the Gangsta Lean at the Lending Tree Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. He's hanging out in his luxurious suite, which maybe I hooked up for him. I don't know. We'll see. But obviously Western's got a big bowl game later today against Georgia State. That is at 2:30 on ESPN. So that's a big, nice showcase game. Of course, Western's 5-6 on the season. Georgia State is 5-4. That will be at Lad Peoples Stadium, home of South Alabama. So, Tyler, man, first we already talked about this, but how was the drive down? And what's the atmosphere like in Mobile right now?
Yeah, it wasn't a bad drive. I told you before we started, my girlfriend's family was in Indianapolis, so we're there for Christmas Eve, and I left the morning. So instead of driving 7 hours from Bowling Green, I drove 11 hours from Indy. So that was kind of weird passing Bowling Green and not being able to stop. I had to go 7 more hours. But I got here. Really, the only traffic I hit was Birmingham area for about 10 miles. Not bad at all. I get here about 4:30 yesterday. Get out of my room. Got the luxurious suite here. Got 2 balcony doors and big bed and comfortable. I was able to find food last night at a cafe down the road after looking for about an hour and getting stood up by the Chinese restaurant down the road. So other than that, it's all good. But downtown's kind of dead. I've only seen probably 15, 20 people total, but it's a nice little neighborhood. Everything's together, and of course 2:30 kickoff. So we'll see if they have any fans there.
Yeah, that's not a good endorsement for tourism in Mobile, by the way, Tyler. So.
No, at all.
Yeah, but at least you're being honest. So, it is the holidays and COVID and everything like that. So probably a lot of downtowns aren't exactly jumping right now. So, but yeah, going back to the matchup, man, I know you've kind of looked at Georgia State's key, kind of key players, but just to kind of give a little background, I mean, people are kind of dubbing this the Revenge Bowl, from the 2017 Cure Bowl. Of course, these two teams played. That was Mike Sanford's first year. Mike White miraculously put that team, at Western Kentucky team, on his shoulders, led them to a 6-6 regular season, and got into a bowl game. Obviously, Georgia State ended up getting the 27-17 win. That was Sean Elliott's first year as head coach at Georgia State. So this is kind of being dubbed by a lot of WKU fans as the Revenge Bowl. But just kind of going into this game, WKU's on a 3-game winning streak after a 2-6 start. So they're on a hot streak, playing a lot better defensively for sure. Offensively, they're playing a little bit better too. I'll kind of start there, Tyler. Just talk about WKU, their momentum, this winning streak that they're on. What have you kind of seen from this 3-game winning streak, and just kind of where Western's playing a lot better at in terms of offense and defense?
Yeah, a 3-game win streak's always nice going into the postseason. Earlier in the year they were setting at 1-3, 1-4, and of course they won some games there, then lost another one. The FAU game only scored 6 points, but they only lost 10-6. You can tell then they were making signs forward. They could score more points than they would have won that game and be 6-6 right now. But that's besides the point. 3 straight wins now. Couple good wins there to end the season. I think their last game against Charlotte, that was their best game overall, up in a 30-point range. Offense was clicking. Defensively, they're, limited Charlotte to 17 points, I believe it was. I think Tyrell Pickering's best game was against Charlotte, and I think that's a good sign of coming to a bowl game. I think he'll be able to do some good things today. Obviously, I picked Western to win. We'll have some picks coming out, I guess, later on. Sean Williams.
Maybe.
If not, I'll tweet mine out later on. But
it's Christmas break. I haven't heard back from everybody on their picks yet, so to be determined.
I understand. But yeah, Pigram, I think this is his best game. It could be his last one here. He could come back next year. We're not sure how the roster's going to shape up for the court position next year. Obviously, some transfers with Stanley and Thomas. But anyway, I think this is a game where they can come out, get a nice win, close 6-6, and turn this weird season in 2020 into 500 mark and make it look better than what 1-4 was, which seems like months ago.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking about the winning streak right now, but I mean they're definitely playing a lot better in the last month than they have, than they were the first month or month plus of the season. So Yeah, looking to end on a high note. You mentioned you're predicting a Western Kentucky win. Georgia State is a 3.5 point favorite. So I mean, people were thinking this would be a close game, but looking at Georgia State, um, obviously they won their last two against South Alabama, against Georgia Southern team. That's a pretty good Georgia Southern team that just come off a big win against La Tech in their bowl game. But just kind of looking at some top teams Georgia State's played. They played Louisiana and App State pretty close, and that's two of the Sun Belt's best teams. I think they lost to Louisiana 34-31 in overtime back in September, and then they lost a close one to App State 17-13 in November. So you kind of wrote a story just kind of talking about Georgia State's key players. Who are some players on their team that Western Kentucky needs to or Western Kentucky fans kind of need to watch, look out for, matchup wise, and everything like that?
Yeah, it all starts with the quarterback, obviously. Cornelius Brown is only a redshirt freshman, but this season, 162 of 274, over 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns. He's thrown 9 picks, but he's 6'5" to 200 pounds. He's also rushed for 261 yards and 7 touchdowns. So this guy's pretty solid. He can kind of dual threat like Pigram is, but more effective in the passing game. Averaging almost 230 yards a game with 30 rushing yards a game too. So he's a solid quarterback there for them. Hilton said he's a guy that can see over his defenders because he's so tall at 6'5" and has a good eye for the ball. Running back position, a guy named Destin Coates. Coates, he's a 5'11" back. They got a 1-2 punch there. I'm trying to figure out which one's which, but
I like how you said that like an announcer, like Destin Coates. Coates.
I just work on my voice for the game,
Working on your PA skills.
Yeah, PA skills. Destin Coates, Tucker Gregg, 1-2. Coates is at 652 and 6 on 143 carries. Gregg is at 441 and 6 with 82 carries. Both are around averaging about 80, 60 yards a game each. But the wide receiver position is one that really stood out to me. Sam Pinckney, leading receiver, 44 catches, almost 800 yards, 17 yards per catch, 84 per game, 6 touchdowns. A couple more receivers there with some catches there. They got a big tight end, 6'2", 250. Roger Carter, 21 catches for almost 300 yards and a couple touchdowns there too. So and defensively, this is a team that they got a guy named Blake Carroll, 72 total tackles, 51 unassisted, 5.5 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups, 3 quarterback hurries, 2 fumble recoveries, a forced fumble, and a sack. So this guy's pretty much all over the field. Looking at their stats overall, they average the same amount of points and allow the same as Western does. They're in the same kind of category statistically. It's both have 5 wins. I think it's an even matchup. I think both teams have guys that can match up pretty well together. I can see Devin Key covering a guy like Pinckney today. I can see Eli Brown out there in the backfield doing some things. And offensively, I think obviously this Blake Carroll dude will be all over the field. So we'll see if the rushing game can get going today. We'll see if Pickering can get comfortable. So I think it's a good matchup. We'll just see who can do more things offensively.
Yeah, you mentioned Georgia State's defense, and their secondary in particular. Kind of point out a couple of dudes, Ontavious Lane, Quavion White. Both of those cornerbacks are second-team Sunbelt guys. They have 3 picks each. I think Georgia State has 10 interceptions on the season. So a team that can really turn the ball over, especially in the secondary there. So, and that's kind of an interesting matchup because you talk about Tyrell Pegram. He has 0 interceptions on the season. So, as much as the fans want to talk crap about Pegram and the way he's played this year, he's been efficient. He hasn't turned the ball over, and that's the biggest thing you can ask for in a quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. No intercept. I mean, he hasn't thrown for Mike White or Brandon Doughty numbers or, anything like that, but no interceptions. He's the only player in the country without a pick this year. So he's taking care of the football. He's fumbled a couple times this year, trying to scramble and things like that. But for the most part, he's done an okay job. I think he wants to improve, but still, the thing I keep thinking about is this: will he come out today and go nuts and be his last game here? Will he come back next year? Is he working for next season? But this quote from Hilton, he told us during his press conference last Monday. He said, "quote Excited that he's our quarterback and we can do it for one more time and play in this bowl game. Do it one more time." That makes you think that he's gonna sign off after this game. But I don't know. We will see what happens there. But I think Pickeram's a guy that he's progressed throughout the year. obviously some setbacks. I think he won Player of the Week, Conference USA 1 week at middle, and then the next week was just not good. Got benched. They put in, I think, Kavaris Thomas for him. I think he's working his way back into the mix there. I think he's been good the last couple of weeks. And like I said, last week was his best game. Well, not last week, but the Charlotte game, whatever that was, 20 days ago, it feels like. Been almost a month. So we will see what Pickering does today and if emphasis his last game or not.
There you go, Tyler. What you got to watch these young journalists taking these quotes and turn them into rumors. I mean, Helton could have just meant this is the last game of the season. He wants to go. He might have not been talking about Pigram. All right, let's just throw that out there, okay?
I just take what the words say,
Hey, man, it makes for good Zoom chat conversation, but
it does.
I got to counterbalance your point there, and discussion. All right, so I was gonna actually go through Georgia State's schedule. Obviously, 5-4. I mentioned some of their close losses to Louisiana, and to I can't think. App State. Then they've got they're able to score a lot of points. It's really weird. And then they have the biggest anomaly on their schedule is a 51-0 loss to Coastal Carolina. Obviously, we know Coastal's a really good team, but to not score any points against Coastal is just really weird because usually they're good for about at least 30 points a game. They hung up 52 against Louisiana Monroe, which Louisiana Monroe is a terrible team. They had a shootout against Arkansas State. They lost to 59-52. They beat East Carolina 49-29. Put up 31 against South Alabama and beat Georgia Southern 30-24. So they're capable of scoring some points, and I think that'll be a good matchup for Western Kentucky's defense, who's look, the defense is solid once again, and we'll talk about that. Obviously, Clayton White's kind of getting mentioned again for Power 5 defensive coordinator position jobs. But, Western Kentucky's offense averaging 291 yards a game. That's 120th in the nation out of 127 teams. So, WKU's offense isn't the greatest this year. It's been better the last 3 games during the 3-game winning streak. But, it's something the Western Kentucky defense versus the Georgia State offense, and see if Western can put up some points there. It's going to be kind of intriguing matchups all the way around.
Yeah, it will be. And I think look at their schedule too. Georgia State lost by 3 in overtime to number 19 Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, who obviously had a great year there in the Sun Belt Conference. Speaking of a bowl game, how about Liberty and Coastal Carolina tonight in the Cure Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Louisiana. They're playing today too in their bowl game, and I can't remember who they're playing off the top of my head. But yeah, you got Liberty and Coastal Carolina. That's the night game tonight. So a really good slate of bowl games on tap today, featuring teams that are interconnected with Georgia State and Western Kentucky. Really,
Yeah, and speaking of bowl game talk for a minute. How about Marshall? I feel like they were ranked and undefeated at what was it? 6-0 or 6-0, then lost to Rice, didn't score a point, and then just they're out the last couple of weeks looked sluggish, and then lost to Buffalo 17-10 yesterday. I'm not sure what happened there.
Buffalo's a good team, though.
Yeah, they are.
They got that running back. I think he rushed for almost 400 yards in one game. So I mean, they've got a really good running back, and I think they only have one loss on the season, had a MAC championship. So Buffalo's a really good team, and then their head coach Lance Leipold, I think is how you say his name. I think he was mentioned for the Vanderbilt job. He's been mentioned for the Illinois job. So his name has come up at a lot of Power 5 jobs too. So, I mean, he's got that team rolling. They had a really good year last year. The last 3 or 4 years, Buffalo's had a really good team in terms of winning, going to bowl games, and now they're one of the cream of the crop MAC teams. So it's not like a huge shock that Marshall would lose to them. So.
Mm-hmm.
Right, there. That's all I had to say. I didn't know if you had a counterpoint there.
Oh, no. You're all good. I just think today's game's interesting. I keep thinking, I look at the papers and stuff, and it's so even on both sides of the ball. So I think this will be a game where I think I picked Western to win by double digits, but heck, it could be down to the wire, a field goal game like last year.
You just picked Western to win by double digits?
I think that's what I gave you this week.
Oh my gosh!
What did I say? I'm gonna find the correct one.
Let me go.
Let's see. I said 34-21 Western.
Okay, yeah, okay. See, I didn't write it down because I haven't heard back from everybody to do the
I
stats
know
predictions, so which
people busy, you know.
may not happen today because it's Christmas and everybody's doing family stuff, and they just avoid the guy that allows them a platform to do creative stuff.
Yeah, you know. What are you gonna do?
So, but that's a pretty bold prediction from you, considering Georgia State's 3.5 point favorite. Of our rivals guys, Mike Farrell and Woody Womack, they both picked Georgia State today. They think
Really?
Georgia
Yeah,
State's
I might hop on FanDuel in a minute and place my bets for the day. You know?
yeah. So, yeah, but you never know how these things will play out. Obviously, 3.5 points spread is not that much. So, I mean, I think people think this is going to be a pretty close game. But you're
Hmm.
picking double digit win for Western, so you're picking them to go out on top and finish 6-6. Correct.
Correct. Finish
Correct.
right at 500
And this will
and
be
cap this weird season.
Tyrell Pigram's last game. You think?
I think so. Could be totally wrong, but we will see.
Well, we'll save like the kind of the postseason aftermath stuff for a little bit later. But we do want to talk about after the season. Obviously, we've already had some coaching changes on the staff. Zach Appling has left, or Ryan Appling has left. Obviously, he was the cool OC. He, since Butch Jones took over at Arkansas State, he has hired him to go back to his alma mater and be the running backs coach there. So Western Kentucky has hired Zach Kitley
Italy. Good job.
from Houston Baptist. Of course, Tyler, you were on that press conference whenever he was hired. Talk a little bit about this new hire, what he kind of brings to the table. Obviously, Houston Baptist didn't play much this year because they're FCS team, but man, they can put up some points. They can put up some yardage.
I can. I mean, from a Zoom call, he seems like the real deal. He's an offensive guy. I mean, obviously, he comes from FCS school, but still, Houston Baptist. Let's see, 2019, 426 yards a game, 394 in 2018. They played 4 games this season, but still averaged almost 550 yards and 34 points a game. Obviously, some big-time receivers he had there with the Stearns brothers, Dureth and Josh, quarterback Daly Zapp. So he has some playmakers there, and 2 of them happen to be coming to Western now, the 2 wide receivers.
Hey, who would have
So
thought, man?
yeah. So they followed their offensive coach to Western. I'm not sure what that means for the quarterback, who's also in the transfer portal, but we will see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, he's now tasked with taking over a team that's averaged 290 yards per game this year, 18.8 points per game through 11 games. I mean, so I think he can come in, put his system in. He said that there'll be something different. And I think the one thing he said was that the bottom line was that he was brought here to light the scoreboard up. And that's one saying that people are taking to heart. I hope he means it. Because see what he does there. He says he's going to have a style that's different here, a lot different, he said. And different playmakers do different things. I don't know if that means just going back to this aired out every single play, run every now and then. I'm not sure what that consists of, but we will see. But I think he's a good hire, and I think he brings some good talent with him here.
Yeah, I think when he said I was brought here to light up the scoreboard, I think that was pretty much the money quote of that whole press conference, right?
Yes, it definitely was.
And I mean, Western fans, they want to hear that. I mean, I think they know they've got a good team this year, just haven't really been able to put it together offensively in a lot of games that they could have won. They could have a better record if they could put up some points offensively and not just rely on the defense. And speaking of defense, go back to Clayton White, who I mentioned, previously. He's kind of being once again. I mean, this happened last year. He was kind of mentioned for some Power 5 defensive coordinator positions. I know Purdue is a possibility there. I don't know if he's a legit candidate yet, but I think he's one to probably keep an eye on. That position is open, and probably some other defensive coordinator jobs as well. I know kind of Western was blessed to be able to keep him on for another year. I don't know if it's going to happen again this year, because your demand's going to keep going up as with the success you always have. And, it's been another successful run for that defense this year. So it'd be interesting to kind of keep up with all the coaching carousel stuff that could happen in the postseason. But, I mean, to get a new offensive coordinator is pretty big. I mean, you're not even done with your season yet. You already hired a new OC. So. as Tyler just sits there and says nothing.
Yeah, I was looking at Purdue's coaching staff for a minute. It looks like they had to move one of their other guys to DC this year because they didn't have one.
Yeah, this is yeah, they Bob Diaco, I believe, was their DC this year, who was just there for a year. They did not have a lot of success, so they moved on from him after just 1 year. So yeah, hard times at Purdue on defense.
Yeah,
So
I mean they went 2-4. His first year was awesome, and of course this year 2-4, and then only played 6 games, and just I don't know. It's been a rough couple of years for Jeff there, so I think he wants to find somebody that can obviously get the job done. And Clayton White's a guy that been mentioned for Power 5 jobs. He's been great at Western,
yeah.
so I mean we'll see.
I think it makes Clayton White more of a hot commodity too, not just because he's a defensive coordinator, especially for Purdue. He also coaches the defensive backs. So I know that's another struggle for Purdue as well. So I mean, if you can get a guy that's really good overall scheming the defense, and you got a guy that's a really good position coach at a position that's been struggling, then yeah, I mean that's a 2-for-1 deal right there. So we'll see. I mean, we're talking about Purdue. I mean, that's kind of the obvious kind of choice he's kind of been linked to so far, but there could be some other Power 5 opportunities come up for him as well. So, well, with that being said, Tyler, just reiterate your picks today, where people can find you on Twitter for your updates with the bowl game going on that maybe not be watching the game, and everything like that.
Yeah, so 2:30 p.m. kickoff on ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Obviously, you gotta watch that game today. I think it's the only one going on at the time. For in-game updates, if you're watching TV and want updates too, hop on Twitter at excuse me, that's not my name anymore, at Rivals Mansfield. I'm now the Rivals guy at Rivals Mansfield. I had plenty of content there for you, coverage throughout the game, post-game content on Hilltoppersports.com. Go ahead and bookmark that. I'm sure I'll get there and check in and tweet out our game day links again for everybody. And then, of course, game day, I'll probably do a post-game story. And then, depending on win or lose, I'll do just like a end of the season follow-up piece, column type deal, post in the morning or later on the night. We'll see what time the game gets done and stuff. But, yeah, hop on there, follow for in-game updates, 2:30 game. I'll be there in a couple hours, ready to roll. Should be a lot of fun. I'm going with the Hilltoppers today, 34-21. Might be crazy, but I think they're itching for a 6th win to finish the year on a high note. So we'll see what happens. But 2:30, we'll be there, and we'll see what happens.
So you say Western Kentucky gets their revenge. I'm going to go with I'll just throw my pick in here just because we're probably not going to have staff picks.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of go with you. Maybe not as big of a win for Western, but I'll go 28-24 Western gets the win. So that's my prediction. So once again, Tyler is in Mobile on site, so follow him as he just mentioned, and we appreciate everything he does at InsideHilltoppersports.com. He's doing so much stuff that he had to change his Twitter name on our network. So now he's at Rivals Mansfield because he is a multi-talented, skilled individual, and we appreciate all of his efforts here on InsideHilltoppersports.com and VanitySports.com and TheGopherReport.com.
There we go. Rivals Mansfield. That's it.
All right. All right. We appreciate everybody tuning in for our little pregame Zoom chat, pre-bowl game Zoom chat coverage. Tyler, don't wreck the hotel room, okay?
Yeah, I try not to.
I'd appreciate that. Everybody, y'all have a good one. Enjoy the game today. Follow along at Rivals Mansfield. Peace.